Hi, my name is Suzanne, and I used to vlog about 3 years ago when my husband and I were going through IVF. I documented the whole thing. I think there's probably, I don't know, a year and a half of IUIs, IVFs, and then I just fell off the face of the earth because I quit the treatments. I stopped, I needed to take a break. I didn't know if the break was going to be a couple months, but it's turned out to be 3 years. So here I am 3 years later, and we're going to try again. We have switched what we're doing because we have decided to go with egg donor. So I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about that experience. So far, there hasn't been a lot that I've found on YouTube to have people share their experiences and knowledge, really. So I thought, well, I'll share my experiences because I know that this stuff does help. I mean, when you're going through something like this, to see that what other people are doing and what they're going through and just how they've handled it or haven't handled it, it can help you through it. So just a little bit about that real quick. So my husband and I decided that we were going to go the egg donor route after discussing a lot of different options, of course, adoption being one of them. But we found a fertility doctor near us, really great doctor, great statistics of success. And we went in there, visited with him, had a great consultation. Before we even left the appointment of the consultation, I was having some testing done, and my husband and I both were having blood work done. So we did that. Immediately got on the birth control pill just to hold my hormones at bay so that we could start looking at donors. And they also put me on some prescription prenatal vitamins, which I've been taking those. And they did have me go in, I think it was, according to when my cycle was, it was like the third or fifth day after my start of my cycle. I went in for an HSG test where they put saline in your uterus and go through the cervix and take a look at the uterine lining and just make sure that everything looks good there. No polyps or anything that they can see, and everything looked great. So where are we now? We selected an egg donor, and we are working on getting all of the paperwork and stuff processed on that. This is actually our second go round. The first egg donor that my husband and I selected ended up being too young for our fertility clinic to accept, and she was 20, and I think the youngest that they would accept was 21. But anyway, it was kind of confusing, and it was very heartbreaking because you get very emotionally attached to your donor select at the time, and you think that's it. There's no one else that's going to be even close to this person. And then sure enough, here I am 24 hours later, finding a even better donor, in my opinion. And it was kind of like a blessing in disguise. So we have selected our donor. The agency, my doctor, is going to be meeting with her, doing a medical evaluation, a psychological evaluation, and then putting her on birth control so that she and I can get our cycles synced. Now, on November 11th, I should be starting on Lupron injections. And then a little short time after that, I think she's going to be starting on her medications, and they're going to get us synced up so that when she's ready for retrieval, I'm ready for transport. It's not transport, it's called something, transfer. I am so rusty on all this. It's kind of funny because I've been looking on YouTube and just looking for actually egg donor situations. So it's a totally different vibe of what I'm going for here. And just hearing some of the vlogs that I've heard, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot about that, and gotta laugh, and just all this stuff. So anyway, we're shooting for, fingers crossed, a positive test by Christmas, or maybe a little time after that, if we're lucky and everything goes on schedule. So I'm just looking at my notes real quick because I tried to make some notes just to make sure that I at least had some process of my thoughts here, but I think that our chances are really good this time. I think that there's an 82% success rate when you do the egg donor route. By the way, the egg donor that we selected has donated twice previously, and I got all the information on her cycles, and they looked really good. So I'll keep you informed if there's something that I forgot to tell you that I think might be of interest to you, particularly those who are going through this, same scenario, looking for egg donors, things of that nature. It is strange. It is weird. I had to remind my husband several times, look, your DNA is already going to be represented. This is kind of my deal, because he kept wanting to run the egg donor selection show. And, I was just kind of like, no, this is kind of my thing. So he finally, kind of chilled out and understood that that was something that I was going to need to be in control of. Of course, we both talked about it and, took each other's words and feelings into consideration. But I do think that it is real important. And I don't know if always your partner understands that, emotionally you're giving up your DNA in this whole process and in your child. And so to give me, in this case, that jurisdiction over selecting the egg donor was very important to me. Of course, carrying the child, giving birth to the child, those are all going to be things that are going to be bonding. But knowing that my DNA really isn't represented in this, having at least the power over the choice of the egg donor, looking at the pictures of the women and thinking if they look like someone from my family, representing my heritage and things of that nature, was real important to me. So I'm very fortunate and lucky to have a husband that understands that and was actually very gracious about the whole thing. So anyway, he just needed a little explaining. But anyway, that's it for now. And if you're going through this as well, we'll go through it together.